It's all right. We are live. So, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I know it's been a while since our last community call, but we've got a lot of exciting new updates to get through today. And yeah, we've got some new faces from the Axelar team. We have a whole bunch of new programs to share with you. A lot's been happening here at Axelar. So before we get into it, let's just go around and introduce everyone. So I'm Kate. I'm head of community. If you've been on our socials for any amount of time, you've probably seen me pop up on Discord, on Telegram. But yeah, hand it off to the rest of the team to introduce yourself before we get started.
My name's Galen. I'm the content lead.
Hey everybody, Eli here, marketing lead.
Hello everyone, my name is Kirill Yermako. I'm a smart contract and blockchain protocol engineer.
Hi everyone, James Friel came on a few months ago as the Director of Business Development. It's nice to finally meet everyone in a live setting like this.
All right, and speaking of James, I'm going to pass it off to Galen to kind of introduce James to the community and talk a little bit more about your role and what you're looking forward to with Axelar, and what you're looking forward to seeing in the space. So I'll pass it off to you guys.
Great. So James, great to have you here. Great to have you on the team. It's been a bit of a crash course type of introduction for you, I know. So let's start out and tell us a bit about yourself. What's your background? How'd you get into the Web3 space?
Absolutely. It's been a bit of a whirlwind to get here, but my career has always been in sales and operations roles, which kind of end up merging into this business development space. But it started at Bloomberg a number of years ago, and some of my earliest colleagues actually exited in like 2014, 2015 to enter the space. And as my career kind of stayed on a Web 2 path in digital transformation and business development, some of my friends continued to have dinners and talk about speculatively the Web3 space. And most recently, I had been at actually Time Magazine, and we had been working on an NFT and Web3 strategy. We did some partnerships with Galaxy Digital and Grayscale over there and launched Time Pieces, which was a really successful new revenue stream. And through that and these kind of continued conversations with friends and colleagues, I caught the bug and decided that it was time to make the official jump over, and Axelar is where I landed.
Tell me about that a little bit. What, and just for you personally, what gets you most excited when it comes to interoperability, Axelar itself, and the vision that we're working toward here?
Yeah, I think what really caught me was this idea that what we're trying to accomplish is really blockchain agnostic. We're not making a speculative bet on a single winner in the space, but it's to hedge on the entirety of Web3 as an ecosystem completely building itself up together. And this idea that a multi-chain universe is going to prevail, and we're not looking at, say, Avalanche or Solana as being an Ethereum killer, but rather separate entities that are going to grow together, that really caught my attention. And what Axelar is trying to accomplish by facilitating cross-chain communication between them to kind of unlock the ceiling that has currently sat on top of the ecosystem is just a really exciting concept to me.
That's a really good point, and something I agree with completely. It feels like it's the infrastructure is still very immature, and it's a little early to be picking ponies here, as it were.
Great.
Let's look ahead to, just broadly speaking, Web3, blockchain, crypto over the coming year. What are you looking forward to this year the most? What's exciting?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting to be educating the market on what cross-chain communication is really going to look like. Everyone talks about bridging and moving assets, and we internally know that that's really just the tip of the iceberg of what this future functionality is going to be able to make capable. That when you look at general message passing, which I know we'll get into a little bit later, there's so much more that can happen when, from an infrastructure perspective, you set up a secure transport layer between blockchains. And you're not just talking about moving an asset from a source chain to a destination chain, but you're talking about really cool concepts like moving application logic, where you may not actually, in fact, need to move anything, but simply communicate that something's been locked on the source chain in order to be able to, say, get a loan on the destination chain. And I think that these are, really fun new use cases that people may not realize are going to kind of blow the roof off of the economic, GDP of this Web3 ecosystem.
Awesome. Lots of work to do. James, thanks for joining the community call, and really glad to have you on the team. Excited to be working with you on bringing this vision to reality.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. Look forward to working with everyone more closely.
All right. Oh, I'm frozen.
I can still see you. Actually, I think, let's see, next up, I think we're going to talk about the grant program, right? So I don't know, once the internet is recovered in Canada, Kate will rejoin and maybe bring James back on, I think, to talk a little bit about the Accelerator Grant Challenge, which is an exciting program that we were planning to have it be limited, but it's going to be much less limited than we expected because of the quality of the applicants that we received in the first round. So if I don't hear back from Kate, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you all about it. So our Accelerator Grant Program was rolled out officially ahead of the Avalanche Summit Hackathon, which we attended and had bounties, invited people to build using general message passing, which we had just rolled out at that time onto a local developer environment. We got a ton of applicants from there that were really exciting. Over the next few weeks, we were promoting it at other events, including DevConnect in Amsterdam, Paris Blockchain Week, and also just generally talking about it to everyone we could reach. A lot of people responded in our Discord community, heard about it there, and we received a ton of great applicants. Really tough to pick winners. Here we go. James back on. Woo! So James, pick up where I left off here. Tell us about the grant program and where we're going from here. I kind of tried to introduce it and say kind of what our goals were and kind of what we saw in the opening weeks of it. Where are we now today with it?
Yeah, so I think you were getting into it, which is, we first launched it and we saw a bunch of good development. And so now we want to open it up, both from a funds perspective, but also the tools that we're giving the developers that apply. So let me start by saying kind of what maybe the goal is from a building perspective, and then we can get into a little bit about what we're able to provide for the teams that get into the program. So, we've been talking about this concept of the super app, and what we'll be able to provide by providing this permissionless transport overlay for cross-chain dApp communication, and how this actually opens up the possibilities of dApps enabling this super app and not actually having to exit from that application in order to make calls cross-chain. And that's kind of what I was getting into towards the end of the last piece that we were speaking about. And what that opens up is so much more functionality being able to exist within the application that's being built. And so if from the beginning, you think from an architecture standpoint about how general message passing and cross-chain functionality is going to be built into your application, rather than thinking about it as something that you add on at the end, the design is going to be so much better from a user perspective. And so we've seen some cool NFT use cases in the first iteration. We've seen some DeFi use cases. There's really quite a broad spectrum that's going to be able to use Axelar to power what they're doing.
let's talk a little bit about that, actually, if you could, James. Some of the kind of, can you give some examples of some of the applications that we've seen come in, some of the teams that we've seen building, the types of projects that they're doing?
Yeah, for sure. We can follow after this with some links. It'd be great for everybody in attendance and in the community to take a look at some of the things that are being built. One that comes to mind is axelarc.io. If you guys check it out, this is an NFT marketplace that's sourcing NFTs from other chains. So, rather than the limitations we're seeing right now from, say, OpenSea, where these are just Ethereum minted NFTs, we're looking at bringing across cross-chain to one marketplace in which you can use from some universal kind of wallet any of the currencies that you may own to make that purchase. So it's a really cool concept. They're just getting started, but I think that's one we're really proud of.
That's axelarc.com, actually. AXELARSEA.com. Yeah, no, that's a great one. I think bringing NFTs across chain is a huge challenge. And I think the Axelar team has found some innovative ways to do that using some of the infrastructure that Axelar provides. So that's a great use case.
Absolutely. I think the last thing on the grant program that really want to touch on is the environment that we want to bring to the developers. That this is not just about opening up Axelar and the code, the ability to utilize cross-chain functionality, but it's about gaining access to advice from an architecture perspective, but also a BD perspective, a marketing perspective. We're planning to have an investor pitch day so that we can introduce you to some of the real top-tier institutional investors that have invested in Axelar. So we're really hoping that we can bring in developers and give you everything that you need from a 360 perspective for you guys to thrive. And I think that so far in the first iteration, the feedback has been really positive, and that's why, to Galen's point, we really want to open this up and make it a huge part of what we're doing here.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think just to I think if maybe get into the numbers a little bit. Well, how many do we have? We have 18 teams, I think, building in the first phase, and I think we decided. I think initially we had planned to sort of have that be the limit. We actually initially planned to have 15 teams as the limit. Had to expand to 18, and we are keeping the applications open on a rolling basis. So you can find information about the grant program on axelar.network, our website. So please check it out, spread the word, and we're looking to support people who are thinking differently about how to build applications. So I think we're excited to see what we're most inspired by what's being built there, and hope to see a lot of new activity coming through.
Absolutely.
So with that said, I think we have some new and exciting news to share on the subject of general message passing. James, as you mentioned, this is a step beyond asset transfer between chains. So with that, I'll invite Carol from our engineering team onto the call to talk about what we've released in just the past week. Actually, we've made a really significant announcement on this front. So Carol,
that's right.
And why don't you get started and tell people kind of what they can do now with general message passing on Axelar.
All right, absolutely. So as Galen just said, we just released it this week to the mainnet, so it's very fresh, and we're expecting people starting building things on that immediately. So let me tell you more about general message passing, and I think this talk may be going to be a little bit more developer specific, but I really want to give the audience kind of like in details overview is what is happening there and why this is important. So as you know, before this moment in the history, the only thing that you could do cross-chain is basically just transfer some assets. And there were many centralized bridges built where you could just transfer asset from one chain to another one. And what we are doing that is drastically different, we're actually enabling on-chain smart contracts to talk to smart contracts on different chains. And in this sense, Ethereum and all EVM-like blockchains, they were revolutionary because they allowed you to execute any arbitrary logic, business logic, legal logic right on the blockchain, and this is permissionless and secure. But the problem that is arised is scalability. As Ethereum became popular, the Ethereum price went up, the gas price went up. If you need to do like any transaction, it is at least $50. If you have some heavy business logic involved, it is like $100+ just for one transaction. And what we're making essentially here is ability one blockchain to talk to another. So we don't need like custom layer 2 to be able to scale your application. You can easily transfer your assets from Ethereum to Avalanche and have your main business logic right there. So the computation is not going to be as expensive. And I think the biggest takeoff from there is with this, we're really bringing solution for the blockchain scalability, because before, if you're in one blockchain, you're in that ecosystem, you're pretty much stuck there. As more people come on board and join, prices go up and it just becomes expensive to use it. And what we're achieving here is fluidity for the assets and for any business application between any chains. So you can have application on one chain, then you can build another part of it on a different chain, and it can all work together simultaneously. And just to give a little bit more specific overview of how it works is, as many of you already know, like on every EVM blockchain, we have our gateway smart contract deployed. And the gateway smart contract is essentially place where the transaction happening. So as before, we had just an asset transfer. So that means you could send the token to the gateway on one chain, and then on another chain, it will be minted to the user. And that was the main responsibility of the gateway. Now we're adding new features, which is contract call and contract call with token. So what that means that, let's say on Ethereum, any smart contract can call a method on our gateway. Let's say it's smart contract with token. So also some token is involved. So that means that token is going to get transferred cross-chain to, let's say, destination chain will be Avalanche. And on the Avalanche, you can have specific smart contract that can receive that token, receive that call, and execute any logic associated with that. And right now we're looking through the rise of different use cases, how it can be used, and how the protocol itself can be extended. So this is very exciting. We have a little bit custom kind of application of how it works. There is two-step process. So I think with that, we brought something completely new to the blockchain, because as before, every function, every contract call will be synchronous. That means you send a message to the blockchain and it executes or fails immediately. And what happens now, we are bringing kind of asynchronous paradigm to the network, because now one contract sends cross-chain message to the gateway, and then the rest of the things happens asynchronously. And let's say after something happens on the destination chain also can send a message back to the source chain to confirm that something happens. And this is like analogy on the internet, because before each blockchain was like an atomic synchronous machine, and now it's like a live network where messages can go back and forth and it's spread in time.
That's a really actually, can we pause on that for a second? Because I think,
yes.
Friel, I'd like to just sort of know how you view that as a developer. I think I tend to think of it as something that developers will need to kind of get their head around a bit. It's a bit of a change in paradigm. Do you think there are advantages to this sort of asynchronous? I think a lot of people would view that as potential liability, right? Instead of being atomic, we have this asynchronous transaction happening. Are there situations where you think that might turn out to be, a positive for a certain kind of application that somebody might be building?
I think it is definitely positive, and there is no any security threats, but it definitely is going to take a little bit of adaptation from the developer community in terms of how to use it and how to implement cross-chain applications properly. So you send something cross-chain, and usually you expect in a smart contract result to be available immediately. And if your application require confirmation on the destination chain to come to the source chain, that means it's a multi-step process. So in your source chain smart contract, you need to send message, save some state to the storage, and then expect the message to come back from the destination chain in a separate transaction. So this is a little bit of difference, because before you actually didn't have to manage like in between state, because there was no in between state. You send a transaction and it executes completely. And now transaction can actually keep bouncing between different chains, hitting different smart contracts, and then the result can come back to the source chain. So it's definitely shifting a paradigm. It opens new avenues for developers, how it can be applied in a practical world, but there is no downfalls or security threats. It's basically a little bit of the learning curve only.
Yeah, I think it's also important, right, for developers to be able to rely on the routing of the cross-chain network that they're using to handle some of that back and forth in a way that I think developers would hope to expect a kind of a send and forget type of approach. And I think that's what Axelar has built and is is delivering here, where that routing of messages in between blockchains, the handling of fees is sort of calculated and paid and handled all in one place, rather than requiring the developer or the user to then be involved in multiple steps. Those multiple steps are all handled by the network itself.
That's right. That's right. And I think I can go a little bit more in details for this one. So as many of you know, Axelar Network is a permissionless blockchain on itself. So this is our biggest advantage and difference from any other bridge, because rather than be a centralized solution, just a bunch of software written like in some cloud server that's working, we're actually a decentralized network of validators, and it is not basically limited to just our company handling the transactions or anything like that. So anyone can be an Axelar validator, anyone can participate in the network. And in order to make developer and user experience smooth, we have actually many layers of helper microservices that pick up transactions on one chain, deliver it to the Axelar blockchain, then an Axelar blockchain, many independent validators confirm the transaction, and then they send the confirmation basically to the destination chain gateway as a command. And it all sounds complicated, but at the same time, it's all permissionless. Even if Axelar services do not work, anybody can come in and become the validator and relay those transactions. So in some sense, we're a gatekeeper, but at the same time, we're an open gatekeeper where anybody can come in and participate and make sure that it is permissionless and decentralized. And regarding the general message passing and smart contract calls, the interesting problem that we are solving here is a cross-chain gas service. So let's say you're sending transaction from Avalanche to Ethereum, and on Ethereum, your transaction is going to hit some decentralized exchange. So it's going to be some computation involved, and any computation on Ethereum is going to cost you gas, which is not cheap. So we are talking about like hundreds of dollars. And what we are creating here is when user initiates a transaction on Avalanche, they also can pay in any token. They can pay that gas amount that's going to be spent on Ethereum to our cross-chain gas service. That's how we call it. And in this case, by paying this gas right away, this allows user to have basically smooth one-step transaction where Axelar Network will pick up the original transaction on the source chain, deliver on the destination chain gateway where it gets approved, and then in a separate transaction, our execution service will call the destination smart contract that belongs to the decentralized application, and it will pay for gas because basically the user already paid for gas on the source chain ahead of time. And what that allows is, of course, it sounds complicated. It's orchestration of different microservices to connect it all together, but it is still permissionless. Anyone can relay those transactions. We are not basically trying to exclude the rest of the community. We just putting together example of services to make sure that we can provide very smooth user experience from day one. But we're expecting ecosystem to grow and other players come on board and create similar services. So we're totally open to diversity there.
Yeah, I think the important thing is that the validation layer, the authentication layer, is a permissionless validator set. That's the really decentralized and critical component. Routing is handled by a protocol, right? Some services like calculating gas fees, paying them in one place. Axelar is providing those, right? But if there are application developers who want something more decentralized than that, don't want to sort of have that single point of failure in their application potentially, certainly other options we hope will be available over time.
That's right.
Yeah. Great. So yeah, I think just to sum up, we general message passing on Mainnet as of I think last Thursday. We announced it officially yesterday. The docs are up to date, although continuous process of improvement there. I think please visit docs.axelar.dev. You can find full instructions and examples on how to use some of the functionality that Kirill's been talking about. And again, very excited to see what people will build using this functionality. And if you are looking to build something, please take a look at our grant program because we want to support you. Kirill, thank you very much for coming on.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It was my first time talking to the community.
Yeah, let's do it again. Great. So next up, want to talk about some partnerships that we have announced over the past month or so. And Eli from the marketing team has joined. Welcome, Eli.
Thanks, Galen. Yeah, good to be here. We got a lot of activity going on right now. So I think it's a good time to give everybody a little update. We've got a mixture of partnerships right now. Some are on Cosmos, some are on Polkadot. We've got some DeFi projects. We've got some infrastructure projects. So we got a lot of stuff happening right now and a lot more to come. I'm going to drop some links here in the chat real quick, just so everybody can kind of dig in a little bit more if they're interested. These are links to each one of our partner announcements around kind of the integrations that we're embarking on with them. And I'll just kind of talk through them at a very high level, just given the time here. But first up is a Cosmos-based stablecoin issuer called eMoney. We just recently completed an integration with them, so you can now move NGM and eEuro, two of their stable stablecoins, through satellite. And I know they're also working on building that functionality directly into their wallet as well. So a similar satellite-like experience, but for the existing eMoney users who want to just have that experience built right into their application. So that's pretty cool. We've also got an automated market maker called Kinesis Labs. That's another Cosmos-based chain. So they've done something similar. They're working on adding that cross-chain functionality right into their application interface. And then we've got a privacy network that we have actually, some of the team members have a long-standing relationship with. It's Manta Network. I believe one of their co-founders worked with Sergey and Yorgos back at Algorand. So they just recently made an announcement around an integration with Axelar, enabling kind of private cross-chain asset transfers. So that's what they're enabling with us. And then finally, we've got Metrica. So Metrica is a tooling and kind of network monitoring solution. And, we've been working with them for a while, and we've got several partners like this, but this is great just for kind of, the decentralized monitoring and maintenance of Axelar, right? Metrica kind of provides all of the tools and reporting to allow anybody to kind of dig into, how are validators acting, what's the health of the network, and doing that in kind of a public way. So those are some of the big ones that have happened over the last month, and we've got a lot more coming up soon.
Great stuff. Yeah, I mean, stable coins cross-chain and liquidity for stable coins cross-chain from eMoney and Kinesis. Manta Network specializing in privacy, a blockchain that is token agnostic and specializes in privacy. Huge overlap in our vision there, I think, looking at a world of specialized blockchains and connecting them, integrating them with other blockchains. And Metrica, that transparency and visibility that is essential to decentralization, right? I think these are just great partnerships that align really strongly with our vision for what's possible in an interoperable Web3.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thanks, Eli, for coming on to talk about those. I think next up, we're going to talk about another very exciting partnership that is in the works, which is the Osmosis Canonical Bridge. Kate, are you connected to the internet? Yes. Excellent.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Move the connection with Canada. Whoop. We lost Kate. Kate, are you there? I hear a dog barking, but I don't see Kate. That's all right. I'm gonna move on ahead so we can get through things here, and hopefully Kate will be able to bring us back in for the community updates, because I'm very unqualified to talk about that. Many of you are aware that we applied to become the canonical bridge provider to Ethereum for Osmosis. Osmosis is a DEX and a blockchain on the Cosmos in the Cosmos ecosystem, and yeah, we're very excited to see the results of a community vote that strongly favored Axelar as the bridge for Osmosis. I think this is another example of an area where there's just a huge overlap in vision, and with Osmosis with Axelar has I think the capability, will have the capability to create on-ramps for users who are coming in on any network and via any kind of wallet address. So if you think about MetaMask, for example, sort of onboarding to something like to a DEX like Osmosis via MetaMask is a path that's pretty easily understood. With Axelar, one of the features I think that was really a standout for the Osmosis team and for the community there was the ability to add a deposit address that will enable people to deposit tokens from any wallet, on any connected chain. So, for example, a user could go and purchase a token on a centralized exchange and use this deposit address, that Osmosis would provide to send a token to Osmosis and begin to use it for liquidity provision, for example, or to exchange and a swap with another token. So really a kind of a sort of a cross-chain on-ramp that extends across the entirety of Web3 to any chain that Axelar connects, and does so in a way that is very much built on the same kind of vision of security and decentralization and permissionlessness that Osmosis itself and the entire Cosmos ecosystem is architected on. So that's exciting. And I think when you sort of look beyond those on-ramps to what something like Osmosis, a DEX like Osmosis could become in the future, you see the possibility to create a kind of a sort of cross-chain liquidity across every asset, and really be a kind of a central hub for liquidity, no matter what chain you're operating from, no matter what token you're invested in. The ability to use Osmosis as that hub and route liquidity via that connection. Truly powerful possibilities there. And I think we'll probably share some of the thought leadership that's come out of our community on those possibilities in the comments here as we move through the call. So The vote is public, of course. Anyone can see, the kind of results there. The sort of official announcement of a selection of a canonical bridge has not yet been made, so we're not trying to jump the gun there. But we're very excited about the support we've received from the Osmosis team and from the community, evidenced in this vote. And kind of encourage our community to, if you haven't been familiar with Osmosis, to go there to explore it, to check out what's available there, because we do think that's going to be a really important key player in this world of cross-chain liquidity in the future. Okay, so Osmosis Bridge. Now let's get back into some community updates. Kate, how's your connection?
All right, I'm gonna try for a third time. Can you hear me?
Excellent, loud and clear.
Amazing. All right, just in time for community updates. So yeah, quickly, we've been pretty busy on the community side. The final phase of the quantum community program. So there was the first phase was an open call, and there was phase 2, 3, and then 4 is wrapping up this week. And so phase 4 saw the top 50 participants moving on, and we kind of switched it up. So before it was really centered around content creation, around kind of amplifying the the new updates and new initiatives and the new announcements that we had. But we switched it up for the final phase. So the last task for the top 50 in phase 4 was we asked them to describe what the future of interoperability looks like with Axelar. Their vision for that, how we're going to change the space, how we're going to bring, Web3 kind of cross-chain seamlessly. And so we asked them to share across their socials, and we'll also be amplifying that across our socials as well. So stay tuned for that. They've been with the program for about 3 months now, and we really just wanted to kind of see, from our community, how folks see Axelar changing the Web3 space, and the awesome things that we're going to be able to build with Axelar in the future. So yeah, moving on from the quantum community program, if you've hopped on our Discord, if you've been following us, on Telegram, you can see that we have a growing list of international communities, which is really exciting. So at the moment, we have 15 international communities represented on Discord, with about 6 more across Telegram, Reddit, Medium, Facebook, WeChat, and more. So if you want to kind of see everything that we've got going on, if you want to join, an international community, or just, see all the different platforms that we have represented, you can check out the community page of Axelar's website, and all the platforms that we have are listed there. And speaking about new socials, if anyone didn't know, we have an official Reddit, which is exciting. So on Reddit, we actually post 1 to 3 pieces of content a week, and those are Reddit exclusive pieces. So these are videos, articles, hot takes, and stuff like that. So definitely check it out if you haven't already.
That's reddit.com/r/Axelar.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
definitely for those of you who are a little kind of overwhelmed by Telegram or Discord, which is like me, Reddit is cool because it's like a little bit of a slower pace, a more manageable pace, a little more curated. Things tend to go a little more, in depth right on the platform. So you can get if you're learning and thinking about interoperability and looking for new ideas, it's a great place to come and share those, and also, see what other people are sharing there as well.
Yeah, we have 4 full-time Reddit moderators who are always kind of sitting there in the comments, waiting for great questions, waiting to help troubleshoot, or just kind of engage in any discussion that folks want to have about Axelar. So yeah, definitely check it out. And like I said, there's exclusive pieces of content that go up 1 to 3 times a week. And yeah, lastly, we have a really exciting program that's going to go live next week. So this is kind of a teaser for that. We'll be announcing it across our socials, but stay tuned on Discord and Twitter for sure, because that's where we'll be kind of pushing the announcement live first. So yeah, and I mean, also lastly, for our international communities, these are members of the community indicating to us that they'd like to start, a new Reddit page, or, you know, a new Medium page to translate, you know, our blog post into a new, you know, a new language that they don't see represented. So if you have an idea for a new community that you want to start, you know, another language that you'd like to see another social added to, or, you know, a new language that we don't have yet represented, you know, hit us up in the Discord, on Telegram, and we're always looking to work with the community to kind of make that happen, so that everyone who wants to be a part of the community feels like they're represented and has a space to go and learn, share, and discuss. So yeah, that's the quick update for community. I'm going to pass it over to Eli, who is going to share some of the exciting events that we have going on, including one that starts today.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. We got a lot coming up, everybody. So today, as Kate mentioned, we're going to be heading out to Cambridge, Massachusetts. Several of us are based in Boston, but Cambridge, just over the river, is where MIT is located. And we're going to have a team there on site for the MIT Bitcoin Expo, as well as the hackathon. So the hackathon starts this evening at 6 p.m., runs until midnight on Saturday, and then we'll have our team with a booth in the main expo center on Saturday and Sunday. And if you are in attendance, definitely welcome you to come by, check out our table, get some swag, and then, of course, stay on Sunday until around 4:25, which is when Sergey is going to be on a panel focused on interoperability with a couple of other you know, leading programs. We've got some folks from Polkadot on that, and Parity, and then one or two other networks. So that's MIT Bitcoin. And then in a couple of weeks, actually no, in just over a week, we're going to have the team out in Prague. So we're going to be a gold sponsor of the Prague Gateway to Cosmos conference and hackathon. So we're sponsoring both the conference and the hackathon. It's a 2-day event. It's the 16th and 17th of May. If you are pondering whether or not to go, we've got a couple of free tickets. So you should be checking out our Discord, our Twitter. If you're an email newsletter subscriber, open up the last issue. We've got some codes there to give you a free ticket to the conference. So again, that's the Gateway to Cosmos event in Prague, May 16th and 17th. Good number of us will be there. We'll be doing some talks. We'll be doing some workshops. We've got a couple of bounties for the hackathon. So it should be a really good time. And then finally, the next one I'm going to cover is coming up in early June. So this is actually the next two. So we've got Decentral Austin, which is a very Cosmos-focused event as well. That's on the 7th and 8th of June in Austin, Texas. And that's coming on right before the major conference that many of you are probably familiar with, which is Consensus, put on by CoinDesk. So the Axelar team will be sponsoring a booth at Consensus. We're working on some interesting side events. So that should be another great event if you're in the US and in the South. We definitely welcome you to come visit us at the conference. So that wraps it up for the upcoming events. We've got a whole lot more planned throughout the summer, but I'll pause there, and I definitely recommend keeping tabs on our Discord. We've got an events section that's updated pretty regularly. So if you're wondering what's next, definitely check that out. So to wrap up, I think looks like Galen, you're back here, so I'm going to add you back into the stream. There we go.
Awesome. Awesome. Super glad to be here. What do we got left? That's it, right? I think we covered everything.
I think so. Yeah. I think we just got the wrap up here. So
yeah. And by the way, somebody was asking in the chat, and I don't have the commenting capability here. Otherwise, I would have just responded there. But in terms of the Osmosis bridge, it is, the vote and the application process were for an Ethereum canonical bridge. But of course, any chain that Axelar connects is, would be available, right, to the Osmosis team. Yeah. And I think, EVM chains, of course, once Ethereum is connected, those are in the work as well. Anything else? Did we cover everything?
I think we've covered everything. Yeah, I'm just looking back up through. I think we're in good shape. So,
any questions we didn't cover, stuff you want to follow us on, follow up on? Of course, Discord, the general channel is a great place to ask. Feel free to tag anybody on the team here. Again, my name's Galen from content, Eli from marketing, and Kate from community. And of course, Kirill was on earlier to talk about general message passing, and James from the business development team. So yeah, look forward to hearing from you, and see you again, same bat time, same bat channel in about 1 month.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.